welcome to a special sport edition of UNM News. Today the show is joined by Lobo beat writer Liam Carey-Eves as well as J.R. Oppenheim, the assistant sport editor for the Daily Lobo. We're going to be putting a bow on the men's and women's basketball season. Liam, I'd really like for you to maybe summarize and wrap up how you felt and how the fans felt with the Lobos women's season this year.
Oh, I mean, Lobo fans, it was heartbreaking all season long. They could not finish, no matter if they had the lead all game, leading at halftime, it didn't matter. They could not seem to pull it out at the very end of the game. In the last 5 minutes, everything collapsed.
Thank you. JR, the men's season was seen as an up and down season, and maybe you can give us some insight on the way that unfolded and maybe just give us your thoughts and opinions on the way the men played this year.
Well, in terms of being an up and down season, they did have 27 wins. They won at a pretty consistent rate. But yeah, some of the lows that they dealt with, are tough to deal with. Primarily not reaching the Sweet 16 at the NCAA tournament. For Lobo fans, that's obviously going to be a disappointment because they've never reached that second weekend for the NCAA tournament. So the 27 wins and the conference tournament championship are great. You can't discount those accomplishments, but until this team breaks through the hump and gets through the Sweet 16, I don't think Lobo fans are going to be satisfied.
Would you say that the expectations for Craig Neal as a first-year head coach were set really high and that maybe the Sweet 16 was unattainable, even with the personnel and the players and the veteran leadership that the Lobos had?
I'm not necessarily sure that it was unattainable for Craig Neal to be able to break through that plateau. He's been around the program the entire 6 years that Steve Alford was here. Craig Neal was a part of the recruiting process. He brought in a lot of these guys. It's going to be tough for not only a first-year head coach at a new program, but for a rookie head coach. That's a tough thing to try to get into, especially a program that has established itself in more of a national prominent level. It was tough for Craig Neal to have to deal with that, obviously, but just to say that it was maybe too soon, I'm not sure if that's necessarily the case because he's been around the program, so he was familiar with what was going on.
Sure. Liam, I'd like to know maybe about the youth and the quality of the players that the women's team had, and maybe you can talk about their chemistry and how long they've played together, and maybe if that led to some of the challenges that they faced in the past season.
Absolutely. They are a young team, and every team goes through the injury, being plagued by injuries. But they have two graduates, Sarah Hallis and Diva Vaughn, that will be definitely missed. But they're such a good young squad that next year the expectations are going to be even higher for that squad.
Well, let's talk about the Mountain West tournament. The neat thing about the Mountain West tournament is it always offers a team that's not supposed to make the big tournament an opportunity to advance. Tell me how the women's team fared in that.
Absolutely. Playoffs is everyone starts at 0-0. Everyone's on the same playing field, and then what had plagued them all season long, finishing games. It came back to haunt them, and they even in the playoffs in the Mountain West tournament, it was just they could not come out with a win late in the game.
Now, JR, you had the opportunity to cover the tournament live from Las Vegas. You did a lot of live tweeting. If I'm not mistaken, you got a bunch of new followers on Twitter. Take me through that experience. Walk us through how everything unfolded and how exciting it was to be there at the Thomas and Mack Center.
Well, I think with the Thomas and Mack, Lobo fans have called that the Pit West, and if I was a UNLV fan, I would take offense to that. This is their gym. They do a really good job. The NCAA tournament people do a really good job of making it a neutral court. They cover up all the references to UNLV. They make them take down the banners, everything. So they actually tried to make it the most to make it a neutral site, but it's still their home court at UNLV. But the UNM fans travel. It's unbelievable how much they travel. It's really hard to argue with the whole Pit West attitude that Lobo fans bring to Las Vegas because so many fans show up. And so, just for the Lobo games, it's almost as electric an atmosphere as it is at the Pit.
Liam, I'd like for you to maybe talk about the future of the women's program, where we're headed, if we have anybody coming in, who we're losing.
Well, like I said before, Diva Vaughn and Sarah Hallis are going to be huge losses, graduating seniors. but there are a lot of promising upcomers. Alexa Chavez is a walk-on, and she has developed a role where the team is, the youth of the team is going to be able to compete at a very high level.
Awesome. Thank you very much. JR, we've got a little bit of time left here, and I want to cover the 3 big men that the Lobos have lost this year, and maybe the future of the program, maybe a potential starting 5, or whose team is it going to be next year?
Well, I mean, roles are definitely going to have to change for this team. I mean, when you lose Alex Kirk, Cameron Barstow, and Kendall Williams, you're losing 66% of your scoring. That's 2/3 of the scoring output. So roles are going to change. But Hugh Greenwood will be back, and I think that he might be able to develop more playing off the ball and try to become more of a scorer. Deshaun Delaney really kind of had a really good Mountain West Conference tournament, in the first 2 games specifically. So I think that he will be a pretty more prominent role. Cullen Neal, although a lot of fans are hard on Cullen Neal because, I mean, he's the coach's son. He's an Albuquerque product. He does some goofy things sometimes. He plays kind of an erratic game, but he was the top scorer off the bench. So he's really going to be used more from 3-point range. And so I think that with some of the recruits coming in, Joe Furstinger, Xavier Adams, a transfer formerly from Oñate High School. I think he's come from a junior college in Arizona, a guy by the name of Tim Jacobs. He's going to be in, and he might be able to be a transfer. He can be in the role, but they're going to have to change some roles with this team. I mean, losing 2/3 of the offense is going to be pretty painful.
All right, gentlemen. Really appreciate you coming out today. Really looking forward to your coverage next year and the seasons to come. For UNM Sports, I'm Michael Burt, and thank you for watching.